Wakili, when you listen to the president, he believes Paul Mackenzie is a terrorist who belongs to prison. How, I mean, even as you take action against Paul Mackenzie and others, what charges? How would you go about that? But also your opinion about the entire thing.
There is already 73 bodies that have been exhumed by the police. Mm-hmm. So even as to what charges are there, he's a terrorist, he's a murderer, he's killed. So we are actually not going to be talking about Mackenzie as a religious leader. It can't be. I've listened to Bishop, I've listened to Mother, I've listened to my good friend Beatrice, and Beatrice said that you can't joke with the name of God. It's actually the scripture, Exodus 27, I think, says that you can't say it in vain. Mackenzie is not a religious leader. Churches belong to shepherds. They are meant to assist in terms of building a society. Mackenzie and his cult has become a terror in terms of the killings that is done, the scripture radicalization. He's actually a bandit. So the description by the president that Mackenzie is a terrorist is sufficient to describe who Mackenzie, Paul, and his close associates, including now the managers, the coordinators, and even the family. Yesterday, I also read about him. He has his family, the wife and children, in a completely different place, a secluded place. It's called, I think, I can't remember, it's somewhere, but not Shakahola, where the 800-acre piece of land is situated and where people are killed. So it is, to me, not about the church. It's about Mackenzie, the terrorist. It's about Mackenzie, the cult leader. It's about Mackenzie, the non-religious leader. When we look at the history back, he had a church that had been registered, I believe, in 2003, but later on got deregistered. And that is how he left now where Malindi or Cliffy, the family is in a place called Migingo, I think. Now he left there and bought land, the 800-acre piece of land, from the people who had been, indoctrinated by him to believe in him, went to Shakahola and now began this story. So it's bottom line, it's not about the church. The Constitution of Kenya allows every Kenyan under Article 32 freedom of worship, conscience, and whether in public or in private. We have what regulates the church under the society, the registration process is there. But then again, when we spoke about the story that the former Attorney General, Professor Githu Muigai, placed a moratorium on the registration of judges, he had a reason to do so. And later on, the lifting of that ban was also because of justifications. But still, the story of Mackenzie should not be combined with the church as it were. The church plays a very central role in the society. The only challenge is when we allow cult leaders like Mackenzie, then the church gets unnecessary blame because he's using religion as a tool to bring on board people, to indoctrinate them, and to swindle resources from them. And it's true, it's all about, you see, you worship, I believe the church, believing in the existence of the Almighty, in most cases would drive people because of poverty, because of desperation. When you look at such people like Mackenzie, they don't do the scripture mainstream. Theirs is extremist. They sort of do prosperity gospel. You see, the sort of preaching that will drive people to have a belief that I will be beyond where I am if I follow this kind of teaching.
And is there a way of checking that, even if you have
now, self-regulation would be very ideal. When you look at, there's a church, there is the registration, then there is the ministry, an umbrella that guides. When you look at the mainstream churches, I went to an AIC, AGC-sponsored school, Tenwek High School in Bomet. It's doing very well. It's a national school. There is Tenwek Hospital that is also under AGC. which is one of the best charges, and is a charge that is sponsoring. Quite across, when you look at the many schools, over 55% from the statistics of institutions of higher learning and infrastructure is sponsored by the church. The regulation process is now under what Bishop had previously said, the umbrella bodies that actually allows and involves themselves in self-regulation beyond what the law provides under the Societies Act, because that is basically for registration. And there was, I think there are regulations which previously were filed in the Office of the Attorney General. I think they were never passed, and that is one of the ways with which, if we had now all the churches under a single umbrella in terms of regulating their operations, not the law, the legally seen way of saying, are you registered? What are the requirements? Which is there. The only other issue would be, if, for example, Sigei would wake up one morning, I've not gone to a theological school, and I say I want to open up a church institution. I can register under the Register of Societies Act. There are certain documentations required. I can always apply. But the regulation now we are looking at, which is what Beatrice is speaking to, can the churches under the umbrella entities that they have also speak against the specific, it's one among 100 of the very good religious institutions that are giving a very bad name to the church. And so Paul Mackenzie is not one of the institutions where the Constitution protects us under the freedom of worship and the churches. This is a terrorist, and well described by the president as a terrorist, a cult leader. He belongs to prison.
Okay.